Alright, I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to make a 3-point perspective for the part we've kind of been working on here with our sketching. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create those vanishing points. The vanishing points for a 3-point perspective. Again, we're going to have 2 at the top here in this case. Vanishing point 2, and over here let's put vanishing point 1. And these are going to be for the width and the depth lines. And the difference with a 3-point perspective is we are going to also have a vanishing point somewhere down here at the bottom. Let's make it like right here. And this is going to be for our height lines. And so now not only do we have a vanishing point for our width and depth, we have a vanishing point for our height lines. And so what I'm going to have to establish first in my drawing, remember we are creating this block, I'm going to establish where this point should go. And so that's the point I'm going to start with. And so on my pad over here, I'm going to just mark a point on my grid. Again, that was this point, and so I'm going to draw that height line. I'm going to draw this line right here, this line. I'm going to draw the vanishing point 3 because that's a height line. So I'll go ahead and do that. So once I have that height line established, I'm going to want to go ahead and figure out about, proportion-wise how long it should be. So I'm going to go ahead and put another point right there. And so I've drawn this line in my object. Now I'm going to draw the width line and the depth line for that. The width line back to vanishing point 3. The depth line back to vanishing point 2. Right there. So I can then move across that. So I've drawn this line, I've drawn this line, and I've drawn this line. So I have to figure out where that line is going to stop. Again, it needs to be somewhat proportional. So I'll make a point right here. And again, I'll draw that back to vanishing point. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter than that. Make it about right here. I'm going to draw that back to vanishing point 3. That height line. So what I've done is I've established that height. Now this line needs to go back to vanishing point 2. Right there, and what we've done is we have sketched in the front face, this face of that block. So that's what you see here. Now we're going to go ahead and start sketching back this way, these other faces that we need to make. And so again, back to vanishing point 1 with this point. And again, now it should be 2 blocks in this depth dimension, and so again, proportion wise, it goes somewhere up on my paper here. Make a dot, make another dot, and then I'm going to draw those points back to vanishing point 3 because those are height lines. So very lightly I'm going to draw that in. Same thing with this one. From there, I'm going to drag these 2 points back to vanishing point 2 to get a width line in. And I can go ahead and maybe sketch in, darken in a little bit of this so you can kind of see where we're at. The lines that we are establishing. So that's what it looks like at this point. I actually drew a line on there that I shouldn't have, but we can fix that. So I need to figure out about the height of this line. So I'm going to go up from that point right there. And I need to make a dot somewhere. Actually, what I'm going to do is just extend this vanishing point up, this kind of sketch line, and that finds it for me. So that's the line I need, so then I can establish the height on that line. Same thing with this line. I can extend that line a little bit. Again, when I mark to that point, that's setting that depth dimension for me, so wherever it crosses that other line, that's where it needs to be drawn in at. So I can sketch in that part of it. And so what you see now is this and this face on that side. We need to do some work back here and sketch these, the width of these back to vanishing point 2, so I'll do that from these two corners. And again, this block is just one block right here. So I have to establish again a point where it should be. Then I take that back to the vanishing point. In this case it's a height line, so I'm going to 3. And wherever it crosses there is where it should end up. So I've established that front face. Can draw back to this point, vanishing point 1 on the depth, and then I can establish the top face of that top block. Alright, so now we need to go ahead and we need to make these parts come out. First thing I'm going to do is take this back to that point. And so if I follow this line along here, that's the back side of my object. And so I'm going to go about, proportionally what looks right, and I'll put a dot on that line. And I can follow that back to vanishing point 3, and that's going to establish the back part of where this object is coming in. Alright, I'm also going to take that and extend it to vanishing point 1 and on out from vanishing point 1 to figure out this next line right here. So this is where it comes out the back, and now we have the depth of it. Now we need to mark it off with the height, so I'm going to take that point back to vanishing point 3. And I get the height of that object. So if I look at what I've done here, created the back side of this part. I need to establish the height of that line, so I'm going to go back from this point and go to vanishing point 2. So this is where that line should stop, where those things crossed. Back right there. And then this point should line up vanishing point 2, which it does. I'm just going to and then you can go ahead and sketch that last part of the shape in there. So if you see that, that's a 3-point perspective we've done for this shape. Now I can add some tonal shading. To make it stand out. little bit more tonal shading to the front surfaces here. There you have it. So there's your 3-point perspective for the block, 2-point perspective, and 1-point perspective. So those are all the perspective drawings and how to complete each of them.